The man did not know that one small act of kindness would shake an entire alien civilization. He was just a scavenger walking through the bones of a dead spaceship when he opened a cage that was never meant to be opened. Inside, it was a frightened alien girl. Days later, she would return with a gift so powerful, it would make the toughest human on that lonely planet cry. But when he first saw her, he had no idea that freeing her would start a story the galaxy would one day remember. The Forgotten Planet. Elias Ward was not a hero. He was not a soldier, not a scientist, and definitely not someone who expected adventure. He was just a human scavenger trying to survive on the dusty frontier world of Arden 9. The planet was a graveyard of technology. Long ago, powerful alien empires fought a war here. Ships fell from the sky like burning rain, and when the war ended, no one bothered to clean up the wreckage. For scavengers like Elias, that was good news. Where others saw trash, he saw rent money. His boots crunched on broken alloy as he climbed into the shattered hull of an ancient alien scout ship. The metal ribs of the wreck twisted upward like the skeleton of a giant beast. Elias adjusted his cracked goggles and sighed. "All right," he muttered to himself. "Let's see what the galaxy left behind for me today." A discovery that should not exist. Inside the wreck, the air smelled of burned circuits and old energy. His scanner flickered weakly. A working power cell could feed his generator for months. A navigation core could buy him a new rover. But 20 minutes into the search, he found something he had never expected. A cage. Not a human cage. This one looked grown rather than built. The bars were smooth and curved like branches from a living tree. A faint blue light shimmered across them. And inside the cage, something moved. Elias froze. For a moment he thought it was some kind of alien animal. Then two thin fingers wrapped around one of the glowing bars. He stepped closer. And that was when he saw her. The alien girl. She looked almost human. Almost. Her skin had a soft violet tone, and her eyes reflected light like polished glass. Long elegant ears curved gently from the sides of her head. She was thin, weak, and clearly terrified. The moment she saw Elias move closer, she shrank against the back of the cage. Elias slowly raised his hands. "Hey, easy," he said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you." Of course, he had no idea if she understood him. But fear looked the same in every species. Her eyes watched him carefully. Elias reached into his bag and pulled out a small protein bar. It was dry and tasted like cardboard. But it was food. He carefully slid it through the bars. For a moment she didn't move. Then suddenly she grabbed it and devoured it within seconds. Elias frowned. "Yeah, that's what I thought. They weren't feeding you." The impossible choice. The lock on the cage was alien technology far beyond Elias's understanding. His scanner showed warning symbols in languages he had never seen. But Elias had spent years taking apart alien machines. He knew one universal truth. Everything breaks if you hit it the right way. He pulled a heavy wrench from his belt. He hesitated for a moment. Opening that cage might be dangerous. The creature inside might attack. Or the cage might trigger some alien defense system. But when he looked at the girl again, he saw something he recognized instantly. Helplessness. Elias sighed. "Well," he muttered, "guess we're doing something stupid today." With one strong strike, he smashed the control panel. Green vapor hissed from the broken device. For a terrifying moment nothing happened. Then the glowing bars flickered and dissolved into thin air. The cage was open. The moment of trust. The alien girl didn't run immediately. She slowly stood up, her movements careful and unsteady. Elias stepped back to give her space. "Doors open," he said quietly. "You're free." She took one step forward. Then another. When she reached the place where the cage had been, she stopped. For a brief moment, she looked directly into his eyes. Elias could not explain what he felt in that moment. There were no words. But somehow, he understood. She was grateful. Then suddenly she moved. Faster than any human could react. She ran out of the wreck and disappeared into the wild desert beyond. Just like that. Gone. The quiet after. Elias stood there in silence. "Well," he said after a long moment. "That was unexpected." He picked up his scanner and walked back outside into the wind. The sky above Arden 9 burned orange with the setting sun. He had no idea who had imprisoned that alien girl. And he definitely had no idea why. But as he returned to his small camp that evening, he could not stop thinking about her eyes. The first sign. 3 days later, something strange happened. Elias woke up and found a glowing crystal sitting outside his tent. It floated slightly above the ground. When he touched it, the crystal dissolved into warm light. Suddenly, his broken power generator roared to life. Fully repaired. Elias stared at the machine in disbelief. "Okay," he whispered slowly. "That's new." Over the next week, more strange things appeared. Fresh food. Perfect tools. A plant that grew overnight and produced clean water. Someone was helping him. Watching him. Elias leaned back in his chair one evening and looked at the stars. "If that's you out there," he said quietly. "Thanks." The wind whispered through the canyon. But no answer came. Not yet. Because somewhere beyond the desert hills, the alien girl was preparing to return. And when she did, she would bring a gift that would change everything humans thought they knew about the universe. The night she came back. The desert night on Arden 9 was colder than usual. The wind moved slowly through the broken metal wrecks scattered across the valley. Old machines creaked like ghosts whispering about wars that had ended centuries ago. Inside his small camp, Elias Ward sat beside a dim lantern, repairing a cracked drone arm he had found earlier that day. Life had returned to normal. Or at least, almost normal. Because every morning strange little gifts still appeared near his camp. Clean water. Working batteries. Tools that fixed themselves. Elias never saw who left them. But deep inside, he knew. The alien girl. He had not seen her since the day she ran from the cage. Still, sometimes at night he felt like someone was watching him from the dark hills. Not in a threatening way. More like someone curious. Like a child studying a strange new animal. Elias stretched and yawned. "Well," he muttered to himself. "If you're out there, mystery alien helper, you could at least say hello." The wind answered with a quiet whistle. Then suddenly, something moved behind him. The girl in the starlight. Elias turned quickly. At first he thought his eyes were playing tricks. But there she was. Standing just beyond the circle of lantern light. The alien girl. Her violet skin shimmered softly under the stars, and her long ears twitched gently as she watched him. She looked healthier now. Stronger. Her posture was confident, and the fear that once filled her eyes had faded. Instead there was curiosity. And something else. Trust. Elias slowly stood. "Well," he said carefully. "Nice to see you again." The girl tilted her head. For a moment neither of them moved. Then she stepped forward into the light. In her hands she carried something small wrapped in glowing threads. A gift. She held it out to him. Elias hesitated. This isn't going to explode, right?" The girl blinked slowly. Then, for the first time, she smiled. It was a small smile, but it changed everything. Elias carefully accepted the object. The glowing threads faded away, revealing a smooth crystal device no larger than his palm. It pulsed with soft golden light. "What is it?" Elias asked quietly. The alien girl gently touched the device. The moment she did, the crystal opened like a flower. Light filled the air. And suddenly Elias heard something impossible. A voice. Inside his head. The translator. "Hello, human." Elias jumped back. The voice was soft and unfamiliar, but it was clearly speaking English. He stared at the device in his hands. You can understand me now." The alien girl nodded. The device shimmered brighter. "It is a translator," the voice continued. "It allows our thoughts to share meaning." Elias blinked several times. Okay, he said slowly. That's extremely cool. The alien girl spoke again through the translator. My name is Lyra. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. Elias Ward. Professional junk collector. Lyra's ears twitched slightly. Not junk collector, she corrected. Human problem solver. Elias laughed. No one has ever called me that before. For a moment they simply stood there. Two completely different beings under the same alien sky. Then Lyra's expression changed. Her smile faded. Something was wrong. The truth about the cage. Lyra stepped closer and touched the ground. The translator pulsed again. I must tell you something important. Elias crossed his arms. Sounds serious. Lyra nodded. The cage you opened belonged to the Tarsic Dominion. Elias frowned. Never heard of them. Lyra looked toward the stars. They are hunters. Her voice carried quiet fear. They capture intelligent species and study them. They believe only the strongest civilizations deserve to survive. Elias felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. So they were studying you. Lyra shook her head slowly. No. She looked directly into his eyes. They were studying you. Elias blinked. Wait, what? Lyra continued. The Dominion has been watching humanity for many years. They believe humans are weak because your technology is young. Elias scratched his head. Well, that's rude. Lyra's voice grew serious. They captured me because my people discovered their plan. They wanted to test human behavior. Elias looked toward the wrecked ship where he had found her. That cage was a test. Lyra nodded. They expected a human scavenger to ignore the prisoner, or sell her to another species. Elias snorted. Wow! Their opinion of us is really low. Lyra's eyes softened. But you did not do that. You freed me. A galaxy watching. The translator crystal projected a small beam of light. A hologram appeared between them. Dozens of strange alien symbols moved across the projection. This is a Dominion observation network, Lyra explained. They watched everything. Elias leaned closer. Wait, you're telling me aliens were spying on me while I broke open that cage? Yes. Elias rubbed his face. That's embarrassing. But Lyra continued. Your action changed something. The hologram shifted. Elias saw a map of stars. Many different alien symbols appeared across it. These are civilizations that know about humans now, Lyra said. They saw what you did. Elias stared at the map. Hold on, you're telling me the entire galaxy watched me smash a cage with a wrench? Lyra nodded again. Yes. And now they are asking a question. Elias sighed. I'm afraid to ask. Lyra looked at him calmly. Are humans truly weak, or are they something new? The coming storm. Elias sat down slowly. This is a lot to process. Lyra stepped beside him. My people believe humans are different. How so? Elias asked. Lyra pointed toward the broken ships across the desert. You live in ruins and still find ways to build. She pointed toward his tools. You repair technology from species you have never met. Then she pointed toward his chest. And you freed someone you did not understand. Elias shrugged. That's just basic decency. Lyra's ears twitched again. In the wider galaxy, that is rare. The translator crystal flickered suddenly. The hologram shifted again. New signals appeared. Red ones. Lyra's expression turned serious. They are coming. Elias looked at the projection. Who? The Dominion. She looked toward the night sky. They believe your kindness was a weakness. Her voice hardened. They are coming to prove it. Elias stood up slowly. He stared at the stars for a long moment. Then he cracked his knuckles. Well, he said calmly, They picked the wrong planet. Lyra tilted her head. What do you mean? Elias smiled. Because humans are very good at one thing. Lyra waited. Elias looked back toward the wrecked ships scattered across the desert. We take broken junk and turn it into something dangerous. The alien girl had returned with a gift. But the real gift wasn't the translator. It was something far bigger. A chance for humanity to prove itself to the galaxy. And somewhere out in the darkness of space, an alien fleet had already begun its journey toward Earth. They believed humans were weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The fleet in the dark. The warning came 3 days later. Elias and Lyra were standing on a rocky ridge above the desert when the translator crystal suddenly pulsed red. Lyra froze. Her ears lifted sharply toward the sky. They are close, she whispered. Elias looked up. At first he saw nothing. Then the stars began to disappear. One by one. Dark shapes slid silently across the sky, blocking the light of distant suns. Ships. Huge ones. A cold feeling crawled down Elias's spine. Well, he muttered quietly. That's not good. The Tarsic Dominion fleet had arrived. Massive warships hovered high above the planet like silent predators. They didn't fire. They didn't move. They simply watched. Just like they always did. Studying. Judging. Waiting. Lyra's voice trembled slightly. They are deciding if humanity is worth destroying. Elias rubbed his chin. Wow! Talk about pressure. Humanity's strange talent. Elias walked back to his small camp. Lyra followed closely behind him. She expected fear. Or panic. But Elias seemed thoughtful. He opened an old metal container and began pulling out random pieces of technology. Broken drone parts. Damaged batteries. Rusty communication dishes. Lyra watched in confusion. What are you doing? She asked. Elias shrugged. Thinking. He held up a cracked circuit board. Humans aren't the strongest species in the galaxy. He picked up a dented scanner. And we're definitely not the most advanced. Then he smiled. But we are really good at something. Lyra waited. Elias tossed the scanner into a pile of parts. We improvise. A ridiculous plan. For the next several hours, Elias worked without stopping. He connected wires. Rebuilt circuits. Turned broken machines into something new. Lyra watched carefully. Will this stop the Dominion fleet? She asked. Elias laughed. Not exactly. He stepped back from the strange machine he had built. It looked like a tower made from scrap metal and glowing cables. What will it do? Lyra asked. Elias pointed toward the sky. It's going to send them a message. Lyra looked worried. That may be dangerous. Elias grinned. Oh, it definitely is. He flipped a switch. The machine hummed to life. Energy pulsed through the tangled wires. Then a beam of light shot into the sky. Straight toward the alien fleet. The message. Inside the Dominion flagship, alien commanders watched the signal carefully. Humans were primitive. Weak. Their technology barely reached the stars. Yet this single human had responded to the fleet's arrival. The signal decoded slowly. Then a message appeared. A simple one. Hello. The alien commanders stared at the screen. Then another line appeared. We know you're watching. More symbols followed. A complex mathematical pattern. Then a new message. This planet is full of humans. We are all like him. The alien commanders exchanged confused glances. Then the signal changed again. The next message surprised them even more. We also have a lot of junk. The signal paused for a moment. Then the final line appeared. And humans are very creative with junk. The demonstration. Back on the desert ridge, Elias adjusted the machine again. Lyra stood beside him. What happens now? She asked. Elias smiled. Now we show them. He pressed another button. Suddenly dozens of old wrecked machines scattered across the desert came alive. Broken drones lifted into the air. Rusty turrets rotated. Ancient defense systems that had been dead for centuries suddenly powered on. Lyra gasped. You repaired all of those? Elias shrugged. Not really. He watched the machines activate. I just connected them. The sky filled with movement. Hundreds of machines rose from the desert floor. None of them were powerful. None of them were modern. But together, they formed something impressive. A massive improvised defense network. Elias crossed his arms and looked up at the alien fleet. Humans don't need perfect tools. He smiled. We just need enough pieces. The decision. High above the planet, the Dominion commanders watched the display. The human weapons were crude, inefficient, technologically primitive. But something about them was deeply unsettling. No advanced AI had built that defense network. No military strategy had designed it. One human had done it. With scrap metal. And creativity. The alien commander studied the data carefully. If one human could build something like this alone, what could an entire human civilization build? He made a decision. The fleet slowly turned away from the planet. The invasion was cancelled. The quiet victory. Back on the ridge, Elias watched the giant ships disappear into the darkness of space. Lyra stared in disbelief. They are leaving, she said. Elias nodded. Yep. But, how? Elias stretched his arms. Because they realized something. Lyra looked at him. What? Elias smiled. Humans are unpredictable. The gift. As the last Dominion ship vanished among the stars, Lyra turned toward Elias. Her eyes shimmered softly. You saved my life, she said. And today you may have saved your entire species. Elias shrugged. I mostly just annoyed some aliens. Lyra stepped closer. There is something else. She reached into a small pouch and pulled out a glowing object. It was different from the translator. This one shone like a tiny star. What is it? Elias asked. Lyra held it carefully. It is a seed from my homeworld. She placed it gently into his hands. This seed can grow forests, oceans, and entire ecosystems. Elias stared at it in shock. You're serious? Lyra nodded. It is the greatest gift my people can give. Elias looked at the glowing seed. Then back at her. You're trusting humans with something like this. Lyra smiled softly. Yes. Elias's eyes filled with emotion. For the first time in many years, the tough scavenger felt tears forming. He quickly wiped them away. Wow, he said quietly. That's a big responsibility. Lyra nodded. My people believe humans will protect life. Elias looked toward the empty desert. Then toward the stars. He held the glowing seed carefully. Yeah, he said softly. I think we will. The beginning of something new. Years later, historians across the galaxy would talk about that day. The day a single human scavenger confused an alien empire so badly. They decided humanity was too dangerous to fight. But Elias Ward would remember it differently. For him, it was simply the day an alien girl came back to say thank you, and gave him a gift that would help humanity grow something beautiful among the stars. Sometimes the galaxy expects heroes. But every once in a while, all it gets is a clever human with a wrench and a lot of broken junk. And somehow, that's even more powerful.